Hi everyone, it's your teacher Miss Mai, and I'm here today with a video lesson for you. So in our lesson today, we are going to talk about problem solving with rational numbers and decimal form. So some terms that I would like you guys to make sure that you understand include estimation. So estimation is an educated guess, and there are times where we might have to make an educated guess. So just some rules of rounding as review. Remember that if the number ends in 0 to 4, you can round it to 0 or it can stay the same. For example, if you have a number like 3.4, then you might keep the number at 3. Second, if you get a number between 5 and 9, you're going to round up, and the 5 can stay the same. And I recall on place values, so remember that the hundreds number is in this place followed by tens and ones. After the ones number, there's usually a decimal, and then you have your tens, hundreds, and thousands. Okay. So some examples to work through. So round the following rational numbers as indicated. A, 34 rounded to the nearest 10. B, 255 rounded to the nearest 100. C, 243.49 rounded to the nearest whole number. D, 4.362 rounded to the nearest tenth. And E, 7.901 rounded to the nearest hundredth. Please spend a little bit of time to see if you can find the rounded number. So double check your answer with what has popped up on the board. Did you get it correct? Or is there something that kind of threw you off a little bit? If you have questions about rounding, please make sure you come to talk to me before we move on next class. So the reason why I introduced all of that review is because today I'm going to introduce to you guys the order of operations, also known as BEDMAS. So when we do any math, we always start in a certain order, and that is with brackets followed by exponents. We divide and multiply depending on which order they appear, and then we add or subtract depending on the order they appear. And we always start from brackets and we move our way down. So if in our equation there are no exponents, we can definitely skip past that and continue on to the next part. Let's do an example. Just remember integer rules, that when you have a negative and you multiply it by a negative, you will get a positive. If you have a negative number and you multiply it by a positive number, you'll get a negative number. And if you have a positive number multiplied by a positive number, the ending number will be positive. So take this question for a moment. 6.4 minus negative 1.2. The first action that we're going to do is remember BEDMAS starts with B for brackets. So we are going to multiply this outside number in. Now this outside number is negative or a negative 1. So negative 1 times by a negative will result in a positive. So now that we have solved for the bracket, we can now solve for the next order of operation, which is addition. So 6.4 plus 1.2 will result in 7.6. And remember, whenever you write an answer, please put your answer inside of a box. Let's try another example. In this example, I have negative 2.2 plus 4.6 multiplied by negative 0.5. So knowing our order of operations, we're going to start with brackets. And so when we have brackets, it's like saying, well, in front of this bracket, there's actually a invisible 1. And we know that 1 times anything is just 1. Now this 1 is positive. And so this positive 1 multiplied by a negative 0.5 will take away the bracket and we are left with negative 0.5. So now our operation goes negative 2.2 plus 4.6 multiplied by negative 0.5. Our next order of operation is, well, we don't have exponents, but we have multiplication. So we're going to solve this part next. Okay, so to solve this part, we go 4.6 multiplied by negative 0.5, which I'll bring down this negative 2.2 again, and we have plus, and I just put this in brackets so you guys can see it a little bit better, but there's actually no brackets. So we have 4.6 times negative 0.5 gives us negative 2.3. Now we have that bracket, so a positive multiplied by a negative will give us a negative number. And so in the end, what we have is negative 2.2 minus 2.3, and that will give us negative 4.5. Okay, remember, a lot of students will mix this up. So if you had forgotten to bring down the negative from your multiplication operation earlier, you will end up with negative 2.3 plus positive 2.3, which is incorrect and will give you the wrong answer. Make sure you carry along your negative sign with whichever number you have, unless you are multiplying a negative by a negative. Okay, our third example, we have 1.88 multiplied by 2 plus 0.50 divided by 2. Okay. Now, in this equation, we don't have any brackets, but following brackets, we have multiplication and division. Now, in the term BEDMAS, division comes before multiplication, but it depends on which one shows up first. Now, in this example, multiplication shows up first, so we are actually going to do the multiplying first. So when we multiply 1.88 by 2, we should get 3.76. And remember, you guys can use your calculator for this. Then we carry down the rest of it. So I brought down plus 0.50 divided by 2. Now the next order of operation you will notice is division. So we have 0.50 divided by 2. And so when we do that math, we carry down the 3.76 again, and we add it to whatever this was, okay, which is 0.25. And then our last operation is adding. So we added these two together, and that gave us 4.01. And we put a box around it so that we know that that's the final answer. Now that you have gone through the order of operations, remember, it starts with brackets, followed by exponents, followed by division and multiplication, and it depends on which one of those came first, followed by addition and subtraction. And again, for addition and subtraction as well, it depends on which comes first, and that's the one you're going to do first. So as practice for what we have just learned, I want you guys to go to page 60 and complete numbers 4 to 9. And so that's it for my lesson today. Good luck!